Loving the Divorce Podcast? Take it further with Amicable Space, our exclusive membership for people navigating separation and divorce. Get expert webinars, exclusive content, a supportive community, and our Amicable Extras podcast with extended interviews and expert insights. Join today at amicable.space/membership because the right support makes all the difference. Welcome to the Divorce Podcast, where we explore relationships, divorce, separation, and parenting apart. This episode is part of our new mini-series, where we answer your questions and share practical, bite-sized tips. I'm your host, Kate Daly, a relationship counsellor, divorce specialist, and co-founder of Amicable, the online legal service for separating couples. In a previous mini episode, I shared some tips on navigating shared friendship groups after an amicable separation. But we all know that not every split is amicable and it doesn't always work out that way. Often things are more complicated and more high conflict. So in this episode, I'll be talking about how to manage shared friendships if that's the case in those tougher circumstances. And I'll also share some advice for friends who find themselves stuck in the middle. So, shared friendship groups are often deeply affected by high conflict separations. There's lots of research out there. The first bit of research that I want to refer to found that people going through a high conflict divorce are much more likely to report weaker ties to both friends and family, also with much lower connection and satisfaction in their social networks after a separation. Another piece of research showed that stigma and judgment played a big role during divorce, especially when conflict is high, and it left people feeling isolated and marginalized, so without that support network. And finally, another piece of research that we've looked into revealed that people who experience more difficult splits are far less likely to participate in either social or community activities, partly because of the emotional strain and that reduced support. So lots of evidence that shows that it can be a real time of isolation. So it's important, if we can, to support friends and family when they go through a divorce and separation, and to try and keep those pathways open for connection. So I've got some tips on how to do that. And first off, however bad the breakup has been, however awful you're feeling or hard done by or anything else, whatever you feel your ex has done, it will improve your ability to stay connected even to your own friends if you don't badmouth your ex, particularly to mutual friends. I think what people sometimes forget is, on the one hand, you obviously turn to your closest friends for mutual support, but in a shared friendship group, particularly when it's been couples and, both partners are involved in those couple dynamics, it puts the other people who are still in their couples in a really difficult position. So if you need to vent, and probably you will, then choosing professional support like a therapist or a friend outside that set of couple relationships is really important, because the more you badmouth your ex, the more likely you are to damage your own relationship with the group as well as their relationship with the group. The second thing is, don't assume that your friends will abandon you. I think many people feel that as soon as they're single, they can't still see their couple friends and their shared friendship group because they're the odd one out. And of course, that there is an element of truth to that. I know, going through my own divorce, I was the only single person, and you're always the odd number at the dinner party or when you go out to the pub or whatever it is you do. And it can feel really awkward. But I had to really tell myself to get over it. Those people were my friends. They wanted me to go out with them and be part of the group. And every time I said no because I felt awkward, I damaged that relationship. So making sure that you still say yes, even if you don't feel like it or you feel awkward, is a really important way just to stabilize that connection and stay connected to the group. Your friends will want to support both of you. So trust them as well to find a new balance. Even if it's different to how it was before, they still want to be with you. So even if you're the person who hasn't naturally made all the social connections, even if it's your partner who really feels like they were the sort of key linchpin in those relationships, still make sure you stay connected, still reach out, still accept invitations. I think the other thing, and this is common with the previous episode where we were talking about when things had ended in a more positive way, being really clear with your boundaries is a really important life skill. So it's perfectly okay to let friends know if you're not ready for a group event where your ex will be. And you don't have to both be on the same page about that. Your ex might go to events and you may choose not to. That's okay. But keeping those boundaries true to you is really important because that's how you'll find support in the group rather than just going through the motions. I think the other thing to say is it's perfectly okay to grieve the loss of that group dynamic. Perhaps this is a group where you used to go on holiday together, or you'd have certain rituals or events that you'd always attend together. And grieving the loss of that is important. So losing that shared social life can be really hard, and it's okay to mourn that. But try and find ways to stay connected to at least some of the members in the group and think about how you might rebuild new networks as well so that you don't suffer that sense of isolation. Like I said before, it's the men in the group that often feel this most acutely. So finding an excuse to keep in touch is really important. And if you are the partner of somebody where there is a group dynamic, just reaching out to the man in the group can be really important too. So what about if you're the friends that are in the middle? Well, that's difficult when it's a high conflict divorce and you will probably feel very torn. I think the thing here is you need to try to stay as neutral as you possibly can and not to take sides. Both people in that relationship have their own experience of the relationship. You're never going to get to the truth of it. So trying to stay neutral rather than trying to get to the bottom of what's happened or who said what to whom is definitely a more positive way forward. You won't get any success in that. People will always see things from their own way. And if you try and do that, very often things split along gender lines, and you can have the group of women who are saying one thing, a group of men who are saying the other, or they split along the friendship lines. And that can be really tough because it can put pressure on your relationship with your partner as well. So if it's friends that have divorced, you try and interfere or make statements about what has and hasn't gone on, you can feel the spotlight turn inward onto your own relationship, and that's never a healthy place to be. I think the other thing is don't play messenger. So respect privacy of the people involved and avoid gossip or passing messages between ex-partners. You might feel like you're doing them a favor because they're struggling, but actually it's not very helpful. And it's, again, going to put pressure on you and your relationship rather than actually show any sense of support. I think the other thing is it's always good to check in quietly. So before organizing a big group event, if you're thinking that it might be awkward or that you might need to invite both people or there's pressure to invite one or the other, I think just having that private conversation rather than just putting it out on a group WhatsApp and hoping for the best is always a better way forward. You can check in and find out whether people are comfortable attending certain events, or you can tell them if you've made a decision as a group how it's going to play out. But in that scenario, if it's not possible to all attend together and all be together, the importance of planning that one-to-one time with the person who's not attending an event becomes even more crucial so they don't feel that sense of isolation. The other thing I would always say is skip the unsolicited advice. However well meaning, however much experience you feel you have because you've been through something similar, it's never a good idea to get into commenting like you're better off without them or, just carry on or, oh, you need to do this or, oh, no, you need to make sure this happens or that happens or, oh, I wouldn't stand for this or I wouldn't stand for that. That kind of unsolicited advice can stir up conflict and it's only going to escalate things and make it worse. So steering clear of that kind of thing is desperately important. Being a steady, kind friend is the most powerful gift you can give somebody going through a divorce or a separation. The other thing, finally, just to note is this is tough on everybody. Whenever a couple divorce within a friendship group, it's really important to just look after yourself in all of this so that your relationship doesn't become in the firing line or under pressure. Watching a close friend split up can be really tough for you. You feel helpless and powerless, and you're desperate to help. But the reality is, there's not a lot you can do other than be there in a supportive capacity. So it's okay if it's getting overwhelming or if it's impacting your own relationship to step back for a time and look after your own well-being too. Don't feel obligated to be drawn into events. Just take some time. And if all else fails, just having the one-to-one time rather than trying to put pressure on the group events is usually the better way forward. It's tough, and sometimes we need to teach our friends how we want to be treated, particularly when our circumstances have changed. So don't be frightened if you're the person going through the separation to say what you need and to acknowledge that things have changed. Acknowledge your awkwardness. Tell people you feel like a bit of a spare part, but just be comfortable in saying that and acknowledge it so that it's out there rather than gloss over it or refuse invites or just stop turning up to things. I hope you found this episode interesting and helpful. If you want more tips and advice on separation or co-parenting, please visit the Amicable website, amicable.co.uk, where you can explore our free resources or you can book a free advice consultation with one of our specialists. You can find me on LinkedIn if you want to hear more tips from me, and you can hear about new podcast episodes by subscribing for updates or visiting thedivorcepodcast.com or on your favorite listening platform. Don't forget, we love hearing from you. So if you've got any topics that you'd like to share with us or questions about divorce, separation or co-parenting, please get in touch at hello@amicable.co.uk. And you never know, those questions, those topics might be the basis of our very next episode. It's been great talking to you today. Thank you so much for listening.